Now, speaking at the Shangri-La Dialogue, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth outlined a rapidly growing defense relationship with India. He said no one should doubt U.S. commitment to its Indo-Pacific allies and partners. Watch.
We will stand with you and work alongside you to deter Chinese aggression. Each day, together, creating more and more dilemmas and complications should China want to act, should they decide to overturn the status quo. But look no further than to our growing defense relationship with India, where we pass new milestones by the day, from shared ventures of our defense industries to the increased operational coordination and interoperability between our two militaries.
Roger, so let's go in with a little bit of detail before we zoom out. The cooperation between the industrial bases, especially in drones, how significant is that?
Well, India and the U.S. actually, since the year of 2022, they have reached a monumental collaboration, especially in emerging technology and military-related technology. So they have signed two different things. The first is the India Industry Government Experts Exchange platform, and the other is the U.S.-India Autonomous Systems Industrial Alliance. That is very important because that actually has the potential to overcome this kind of ideological divide between Washington, D.C. and New Delhi. So they are going to work together.
What is the
ideological divide? Is actually the historical ones that India starting as a socialist country, actually because of their historical closeness to Moscow. So in the strategic and academic circle, there are a group of people or some kind of potential resistance against getting too close to the United States. So if the two countries actually approach each other with technology, actually that can overcome this kind of ideological thing. And as for the drones and the UAV collaboration that you have mentioned, I think this is one of the most potential and focus that deserve a lot of attention between from our side, that the two countries actually work together, because the United States actually has assigned overhaul bases of MQ-9, the Reaper, the drone in India. So that actually the drone actually is what India needs to counter the growing influence of China in the northern part. So I think this is the important area that we can expect to have growth.
And what does that mean for Make in India, Professor Chen? And also, your thoughts on whether there was any impact from Operation Sindoor in terms of the performance of Indian systems?
Of course, we know that India already has a very solid base for manufacturing conventional arms. And also they have nuclear weapons. But the drone is a newer technology, and in which before, including India, did not spend much time to develop. But China is very good in drones. And we also see from the Russian-Ukraine war that the drone now being fully used in the battlefield. So I think that for India right now, try to catch up in the drone technologies, and who can provide the technologies? Apparently, Americans, USA. So I think that this is very important for India to upgrade its military technology, and also to enhance its own national security areas.
Okay. Now, at the end of May, Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri led a delegation to the U.S. They met with Undersecretary for Policy Elbridge Colby. Afterward, Colby posted on X, "The U.S.-India alliance is on fundamentally strong ground based on shared interests and mutual respect. We here at the DoD are striving hard to elevate defense cooperation as part of this critical partnership." Now, the Indian embassy in the U.S. also posted on social media, "Defense remains a key pillar of the India-U.S. strategic partnership. Discussions covered shared interests in co-development, co-production, military exercises, logistics and information sharing, and interoperability. Regional global issues, including the Indo-Pacific, were also discussed." Roger, there was a difference between how the Indian side and the U.S. side termed this. U.S. side termed it an alliance, and the Indian side a partnership. Is this something that we should read into?
Well, India has traditionally and historically been very cautious about the description when it comes to the relationship between themselves and the United States because of the limitations imposed by the non-alignment policy. They are trying to avoid being a pawn or being viewed as a pawn by the outside as the United States. So the United States has to design special platforms and schemes to promote their collaboration with India. If you remember, well, for the past few years, they have reached several MOUs on the logistic and the sharing of intelligence, including the satellite images. And this has been done in the format of MOU instead of the defense pact or other more formal things. This is designed for India only because the US side knows really well that India has been bounded by that. So they want to avoid that to make it more flexible.
Right. So shared interests, but not shared commitments, as Roger was saying, Professor Chen. So India is happy to have cooperation with the US, is it? But it doesn't want alignment, taking sides.
I think it depends on which country they are targeting at. If on Russia, then I think that India probably will not support the U.S. or Western countries, considering Russia as a threat. It has its own interest in partnership with Russia. But on China, I think India shares more interest. Yeah, so I think India is they behave in a very smart way. They don't want to just make just Roger said, don't want to commitment to to another big power and then being seen as a pawn of the other country.
Right, and Roger, the U.S. As we've heard very often, sees India as a counterbalance to China in the Indo-Pacific, but how does India view that particular stance? Does it see itself as a counterbalance to China?
Well, like Jaishankar, the external minister, have said, well, India is becoming more and more realist in its dealing with China and the United States and Russia. So they do need the United States to counter the balance, the growing balance or the changing of a balance of power in the Indian Ocean region. And they need to rely on the US for new weapon manufacturing and design. So this is something that they have to seriously consider about. So that's why they are, although they are very cautious about that, but in practice, they move closer to the U.S. compared with Russia.
Yeah, so actually, in effect, they see the U.S. as a counterbalance to China as well.
Yes, and a convenient tool.